Good afternoon and welcome to Laurel Park, and thank you for joining us here on this Saturday edition of Today at the Races. I'm Gabby Gaudette, your Stan Salter. It's a big day throughout the country.
Big weekend. Yeah, a little overcast, but don't let the cloudy skies fool you. We have two stake races here. Nice carryover in that pick six, just shy of 10,000. And Sunday Fun Day, of course, we have the Players Challenge, the Premier Parlay, another big race we're going to show early tomorrow, Sunday morning here at Laurel.
Yeah, I wanted to remind everybody to come out here to Laurel Park early. Our gates open early at 9:45 a.m. We're going to simulcast the Arc de Triomphe. That goes off at 10:05 our time at Chantilly. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Postponed, looks to be the favorite in that race, but overall a really, really contentious field for this year's edition of the Arc. And once again, you can catch that at 10:05. We're going to be here. You can watch it with us.
Your French is pretty good. Yeah, the pronunciation of where the track is, the name of the race, which I would completely butcher. I didn't make it too far in French.
I didn't either. I never took French, actually. I took Spanish.
All right. Well, that race on my bucket list. That race and the Melbourne Cup, of course, they were all in the same circuit as the DC International we used to have here. Hopefully that race coming back. But hats off to our simulcast department for getting the doors open early Sunday morning for one of the world's most famous races, really.
It's going to be a big weekend at Chantilly in general. I've got the PPs right here. We're gonna handicap it after we handicap today.
And you're red hot. You hit the early pick five yesterday. Your on-air ticket. You gave it out to the whole country. It paid what? A little over $1,400.
Yeah.
And
you were $54.
You were 4 out of 5 in the late pick five. So you're hot. Let's see if we can get that hot streak on some pick fives today and that pick six carryover.
And unfortunately, we are off the turf for this entire card, but actually, I think that's fortunate because I love these racing cards. There's so much value to be had, as we saw yesterday in that early pick five. Today, we don't have a carryover in the rolling super high five, but it does start in today's first race. As we look at the Rainbow Six, the Rainbow Six kicks off in race 5. That continues to grow, that carryover. It's over $9,700, so dive on into that wager. It's going to be a fun sequence. And of course, we have the late pick 5 carryover, or excuse me, late pick 5 sequence kicks off in race 6. No carryover in that, but still a very interesting sequence today. So there's a lot of betting opportunities today. We'll take a look at our track and weather conditions, and as we mentioned, a little bit on the chilly side, but that's what you get for fall in Maryland. And we are off the turf on the main track for all 10 of our races right now. The main track listed as sloppy sealed.
And so look for some mutters today, and looking at our card today with our two stake races later on, the Politely for Maryland-bred filly and mares, the Chaladon, a nice open stake. So two stakes here, big day up at Belmont, and a big day down there at our sister tracks at Gulfstream and out west at Santa Anita, the great race place, 2014 Preakness winner, California Chrome, still going strong. He's in the awesome again later on today out there at Santa Anita.
There's a lot going on from coast to coast. So we'll get to today's racing program. We'll dive right into the action. And we started off with a nice maiden special weight on the main track at a mile and a 16th. Once again, this does start the early pick 5. Can lightning strike twice, Stan, is my question. We took it down yesterday. Hopefully we can have the same fortune today. We start with race 1 going to the 4, 5, and the 8 with the 4, 12, 5, 6, 8. Spreading in race 4 with 4 horses. Honestly, I could have used even more. I think that's the leg where you get value. You can really spread in that leg. And then wrapping it up with both the 3 and the 5 in the final leg of the sequence for $72. So we'll get to race 1 here. Once again, a mile and a 16th on the main track. And the 5, Say Simpson, is going to have to do it for me. It is an 0 for 17 maiden, but I'm sticking to this one more time because I think the company lines are strong. She's proven last time out that she can handle an off track, and that's conditions that she's going to get today. Not only that, Stan, you look at the race back in May on a sloppy sealed track going a mile at Belmont. She was third behind Going for Broke, who would eventually become, was second in the Alabama behind Songbird. So I think she's just a notch above the rest of the field.
I couldn't get away from her either. 0 for 17 maiden. I generally try not to pick those on top, but she's 4 for 5 on the off track. She's been running in some strong races up there at Belmont, Suffolk, Monmouth, Aqueduct. So it's her first time here at Laurel Park. Abigail Atsit, she has shipped down with some winners before. Angel Cruz, one of her top 5 riders. So not much value, but it looks like Say Sen Sen likes to mud the best in today's opener.
And we have the 4 Tis a Diamond, a horse you use in the Exacta, has never been on a wet track, is kind of nicely bred for it. I respect this horse a bit too. I just wonder how strong that off the turf maiden special weight was when she was a decent second.
Second with Carrasco aboard. Carrasco back aboard today. I'm hoping she'll have that same kind of speed that she had in that 2-back race here at Laurel late July. Carrasco with 2 winners yesterday. The winner of that race, 2-back, Shankasen, would come back to win. So I'm just ignoring the turf race last out, and hopefully the Tis a Diamond will like the off track today.
And kind of an odd horse to like is the 8 Alpine Sky. 5-2 on the morning line for trainer Cal Lentz gets this horse off of Todd Quast. This horse has been it looks like he's been training and posting workouts at Goldmark Farm down in Ocala, Florida, but now recently posting a bullet work here at Laurel. So the one thing about him, she took a little bit of time off from December to May. She came back in that turf race. Prior to the layoff, her best races were on the turf, and I thought it was just kind of a mediocre performance. So now on the dirt, will she kind of maintain the same numbers? Can she improve? There's a couple question marks abound with the 8.
Yeah, question marks. The works jump off the page. It looks like this filly's been working up a storm in the morning for the new barn today. Cal Lynch gets J.D. Acosta aboard. Not the toughest maiden special weight race. I think they find kind of a softer race. You just hope Acosta doesn't get carried too wide on that first turn.
Okay, let's move right along and take a look at the second race, a starter optional claiming events, 5.5 furlongs there on the main track. We have a couple of scratches in here as this was originally carded for the turf, but we do have a main track only entrant, the 12, Seeking Gold to the outside, 7-5 on the morning line stand, and this looks like the horse to beat in here.
Yeah, I just hope it's not a give-up race. They just claim this horse for $25,000 up at Saratoga late August. They wait the 30 days. They're dropping in for 16 first off the claim. This 3-year-old filly by Drosselmeyer appears to have a lot of speed, at least going by the races up there at Saratoga, Ellis Park, before that down in Kentucky. Jevion Toledo gets aboard. I like the outside post with that early speed. It's never been on an off track before, but hopefully she can just get out in front with Toledo and keep on going.
Yeah, she has the outside controlling position, but I agree with you. I think this is kind of a questionable move. You claim this horse for $25,000, you immediately drop him in for the $16,000 marker. And Hugh McMahon, he's kind of an aggressive trainer, a claiming trainer, where if he has confidence in a horse, most likely he's going to make a lateral move or step them up in class. Overall, I don't know, even though you see, this horse is coming out of Saratoga, I don't think that race was particularly strong, probably strong, comparable to the field that she's facing today. I think one horse is kind of on the upward incline here, and that is the 4 Port Cocher, Angel Serpa in the saddle, replacing Edgar Prado. We wish him best of luck with Run Happy this afternoon, who runs in the ACAC at Churchill. But she has experience on an off track. She won by 3 lengths on a sloppy sealed track, and she just looks like a really improving filly ever since getting into the Salzman barn. That was a good race last time out. She was just compromised by the real post.
Yeah, a sharp win in the slop. I think we have a video here of this race early August at Laurel Park. Loving the slop this day. A runaway winner by 3 lengths with Edgar Prado aboard for John Salzman Jr. Angel Serpa gets aboard, a capable rider for sure here, riding this daughter of Street Sense today.
And prior to that, she broke her maiden once finally dropping to the maiden $16,000 level, and that was on the turf. But to me, she just looks like a versatile filly, and she looked like she was having a blast in the slop that day, and she's going to get similar conditions. So if you're looking to try to beat the favorite, I think that is a viable option. Other than that, I think you're kind of looking at fringe players.
Looks like we're on the same three horses here. Teresa's Honor. I like this filly on the outside as well for trainer Art Stauffer. Good Delaware form. J.D. Acosta aboard. The stake was too tough last out, but that was an allowance race, a tough allowance race, two back. A good second that day. I think finds an easier starter condition, actually a dream condition for this filly today.
Okay, that is race 2. As we get to race 3 on the card, maiden $10,000 event, going the 1-turn mile, second wire finish onto the main track. And this is a race where I think you could maybe make a case for several, but the 5 Crooked is going to have to do it for you one more time.
One more time for Crooked here for this from the Linda Albert barn, 3-year-old filly by Louis Quatorze. You look at the off-track performance last May at Pimlico, same kind of, well, a little tougher race, maiden 16 going long, a good second that day. She's been right there knocking on the door at this level, coming off a couple grass races, gets back to a muddy track today. Yomar, Ortiz, Linda Albert, they've teamed up for some nice winners. 4-1, that's a decent price. I think Crooked, not the softest, not the toughest maiden 10 race, or the heavy dropper, the 8 Clairvoyant, that's a dropping from the clouds, first time Tom Proctor, so that horse will probably be the favorite, so I'm going to try to beat that one with Crooked here at 4-1.
And I see it. I mean, you and I both agree on our top 3 selections, and looking at the early pick 5, these are the 3 that I really stick to, because Clairvoyant, this is the horse to beat, the filly to beat. She really did no running in her first 2 starts at Tampa, going a route of ground. Now first time for Tom Proctor. Oh, he's been successful with this. The trainer switches on the dirt off of 180-day plus layoffs. He's about 33% and a positive ROI over $3. So you have to use this horse protectively, but there's no harm in trying to beat her. You try to beat her with the 5. I try to beat her with the 6, Snuck a Little Fun. And she has primarily turf races. She's run well against maiden claimers on the turf. But the last time she was on the dirt was going the 1-turn mile. She was the beaten favorite, but she drew the rail post position that day, and I thought she was used a little early to try to get to the lead. But if you look at her turf races, that's not really how she wants to be ridden. So now with a better post position, more options, better posted, I could foresee her to maybe sit a stalking trip.
Yeah, she got in good form on the grass. You hope she translates that to an off track today. McCarthy was aboard 2 back. He stays aboard today, so you have to respect the strong connections here. Hopefully this filly will like the mud.
Okay, that is race 3 as we turn the page to the 4th, an open $7,500 event, 1-turn mile once again on the main track. And Stan, looking at the early pick 5 sequence, I think this is a spread race. This is where you can make your money in that early pick 5 or just in any of those multi-race sequences. You and I kind of agree primarily with the top 3, but you know, you could, the 8, I'm the big man, this is a horse that you could get some value on, and you opt for him. He's just a horse that has a tendency to be so hot and cold no matter the surface.
Well, he's so big. He's like a Mack truck, so look out if he's coming through traffic. He'll just run horses over. He likes an off track, 2 for 2 in the money, a win and a second from 2 starts. Loves this mile distance. You look at the race 2 back, that was an open 15,000 claimer that came off the grass, going a mile in the slop here at Laurel. Very good second that day. The Music Critic got a 66 buyer. So this is an easier race today. The Open 75. This is the cheapest he's run in a while. I'm the big man with Forest Boyce, one of his regular riders. So this horse he'll be far back turning for home, but he'll be making a move. Hopefully he can get up in time.
And I think he potentially gets the pace that he kind of wants in here. I know we have a lot of scratches, and that's going to affect the pace. But, you know, we have DNA approved to the inside who should show some speed. We have the Sabiat Doro who could be forwardly placed in here. So I do think that there still is some speed intact with several of those scratches. The 11 Street Bullet, though, I was intrigued by, and he kind of went against 79er a couple of starts. 79er turned the tables on him last time out at Timonium, but Timonium, it's like you want to be in the first or the second flight. You can't really close from off of the pace. And Street Bullet, I think, will prefer coming back to Laurel, where he is a 5-time winner. He doesn't have a victory on and off track, but those numbers are are good enough to beat this field. I mean, they were going against two other than Allowance Company in the past. So I know he went through a little bit of a lull, but Mary Epler having a fantastic day yesterday, and this horse just looks like a horse that'll fit the bill of closing from off of it.
I think there's a lot of great value from a betting perspective in this race. I have an 8-1 shot on top. You have a 6-1 shot on top. Yeah, the barn red hot. Mary Epler could have a big day today. So this horse likes Laurel, likes the distance. 0 for 3 on an off track. So I guess that's what made me look elsewhere. But the connections are red hot on the 11 Street Bullet from the Mary Epler barn. We both like the 6 Young Dude. This horse likes this mile distance. Has a win on an off track for Pat Daniels, Steve Cowboy Hamilton in the tack today.
And even the 10 Greek God, this is a horse who's a winner on an off track. He loved the slot at Laurel in early May. He was an open length winner, and that was against starter $7,500 company. So if he can run a similar effort to that, he's going to be in contention. He's one that I definitely use in the pick 5.
Yeah, that was a huge win, going a mile right here at Laurel in a tougher race last May. So I like that runner, Jonathan Maldonado. J.D. Acosta, good to see him back in town. That horse probably be forwardly placed, be part of the early pace.
Okay, that is races 1 through 4. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the pick 6. Dan has a ticket for you, and I have a ticket for the late pick 5 right after this.
Save the date, October 22nd. Don't miss the 31st annual running of the Jim McKay Maryland Million at Laurel Park. Entertainment for the whole family. Don't miss the fun at Laurel Park, Saturday, October 22nd. For more information, visit MarylandMillion.com or MarylandRacing.com.
Welcome back to Today at the Races. I'm Gabby Gaudette with Stan Salter, and well, we have a nice carryover in that Rainbow 6. We had a couple of live tickets, but no live singles going into that final leg, so it's going to be fun to see how the sequence pans out today. And Stan, you took a stab at it. Nice carryover, 9,700.
Yeah, the pools be around, be close to 15,000. I think today, at least over 12, 13. There's my ticket. I'll go 4 deep in race 5, hitting the all button in race 6. So then I'll go 5 deep in race 7. So those are the
That's
spread.
An aggressive ticket. I like it.
Those are the spread races. The first 3 legs. Hopefully, I'll still be live after that. Then I'm going to single in both the stake races. The Politely, I love the 3 Lovable Lady from Mary Epler's barn, looking for her 3rd win in a row. And then I'll key on a Larry Jones horse in the Shaladon. I think this horse will love the 7 furlongs. The 9 Chief I Stand loves the sloppy track. We saw him at Pimlico last May. Gabe Saez aboard for a red hot barn. 6-1 on the 9 Chief I Stand. And then just on my ticket there, just 2 deep in the last race. But just use this ticket as a guide. I think the last race you can make a case and spread out to a bunch of horses in that last race. So there's the $80 ticket. Build on it from there. I think a great day to play the Rainbow Pick 6. You get a couple prices on your ticket. You could take the whole pot down.
Okay, I love it. $80, 2 singles, and an all button. There's a lot going on in that pick 6, but best of luck to your ticket there, Stan. As we kick it off, race 5 is a nice 2 other than allowance optional claiming event. 5.5 furlongs there on that sloppy sealed going. And the one in mid-air is your 5-2 morning line favorite for trainer Jeff Runco. Has been running out of town at Mountaineer, at Charlestown as well, and he hopes to transition that form back to here. She is going to get a lot of pressure from the outside, and I just think that's going to be a tricky post position for her to work out, considering she is a front runner.
Yeah, I go against her. If she breaks on top, and Arnaldo Bocachica, a good gate rider at Charlestown, doesn't ride here too much, but he's won almost 130 races this year. Jeff Runco, he can ship into town here with winners. We've never seen this filly on and off track, and like you said, I think she's going to take a lot of pressure breaking from that one hole. So I throw her out. What a nice upper level allowance feature here in the middle of the card, and we have two more stakes to come. So a nice race to kick off the pick 6. We both have the same horse on top. 3-5, Cold Exacta here.
Let's do it.
The 2, Next Best Thing, Kevin Gomez. What a nice meet he's having. He's in the top 5 as an apprentice in a very tough jockey colony here in a tough meet. Gomez aboard for Claudio Gonzalez on the 2, Next Best Thing. She likes an off track. She loves Laurel Park, and I think she'll get a nice stalking trip, hopefully, from the inside. Well, she kind of likes to come from mid-pack, but a decent 4th last out at this level, coming 6 wide with a rally.
So you landed on the 2, Next Best Thing.
Yes, I'm sorry. I have the wrong numbers here. No, the three. I throw the 2 next best thing
Oh, okay.
onto my pick 6 ticket. 2, 3, 5, 7. So I make a case for the 2. Let's talk about my top pick, the 3, Little Cyclone, who will be in front. The 2 will be chasing.
Yes.
I think Little Cyclone will be in front. Phil Schoenthal has figured out perhaps sprinting this filly is her best game.
That's exactly right, Stan. I think the previous connections, they dabbled in, stretching her out on the dirt, trying the turf, then cutting her back on the dirt to sprint distances. And I think at some times she was a little bit mismanaged, maybe going out of her class range too. I think Phil Schoenthal has spotted her to perfection in the past 2 starts, just finding 2 races to serve as a little bit of a confidence booster, keeping her at that sprint distance. And like I said, she's going to be able to press the speed of mid-air to the inside. So tactically, I think she's at an advantage here. But beyond that, we do have the 5 Kittery, excuse me, who has experience on an off track, never a sealed track, but she looks like she's going to handle the surface today.
Yeah, likes an off track. We haven't seen her here at Laurel Park shipping in for Mariah Montoya from Parks. She's bringing her own rider down here. This horse, tough. It didn't like the turf last out. I think 0 for 4 on the grass, so just draw a line through that race. But you look at the races 2 and 3 back, a sharp win against Allowance Company on a wet fast track in early July up there at Parks. Both the second in play and show horse would come back to win out of that race.
And even her race at Delaware against Allowance Company, she was 3rd, beaten several lengths, albeit, but behind Southern Girl, who came back to win the Shine again. She was very, very impressive. She got an 82 by her speed figure for that victory. So from a class perspective and a tactical perspective, I do think that these are the 2 fillies to beat. Nice to other than Allowance as we...
I made a nice case for next best thing there,
No,
huh?
but you do make a good point, because I think in midair and the 3 Little Cyclone, if they kind of duke it out on the front end, the only bad thing about next best thing, although she has won on an off track, I don't think she does her best running on an off track, but if she gets the right pace, then she's going to be flying late.
Yep. Nice feature I completely butchered there.
It's all right. We get to race 6 on the card. Now, race 6 kicks off the late pick 5, and this is going to be an interesting sequence. I did come up with a ticket here we started off with this maiden $16,000 event using 4 horses in the first leg. So hopefully we get some money. The 4, 6, 9, and the 11 with the 4, 11, 12. And I'm singling later today with Lovable Lady. I agree with you on that. So we both share a common interest there in race 8 and in race 9. Although I really like my loot, I think that's a wide open race. It's a really competitive, our Shaladon later today, really competitive race. So going to be using 5 horses in that and capping it off with the 9 and the 11 in today's finale for a $60 late pick 5 ticket. So let's take a stab here at race 6. This maiden $16,000 race. 6 furlongs on the main track. 2 scratches, both the 2 and the 3 in here. And Stan, well, how did you see this race?
Well, Jamie Ness with second-time starters. He's 31% with almost a positive ROI. Gets blinkers on. First-time Lasix here for the 4. You know that, right? Had the dreaded rail post up there at Delaware in debut. They sent the horse, took a lot of pressure. They bet the horse down to 7-5, 6-5 that day. So went to the front, faded to 4th. Second time today, gets all the changes. McCarthy stays aboard, and he finds an easier spot.
As you said, gets Lasix, blinkers, is bet first time out, rail post first time out. So I'm going to use that horse in the pick 5, just not in my top selections. I landed on the 9 Cicella, who takes a big drop in class for trainer Hugh McMahon, and no harm in trying. She's a New York bred. They tried to, sift out an easy, quote, easy New York bred maiden special weight. Well, that wasn't the case. Ingrid was the winner, and that was a very impressive first-time starter, well-meant first-time starter for trainer Mike Hushin. We saw several of horses come out of that race to go on and win. One, Tainted Angel came back to win a maiden claimer, got a decent buyer speed figure, another one on the turf. So that seems to be a productive race. and a big drop in class.
Yeah, big drop here to the 16. Maybe that was a red flag for me, and it made me look elsewhere. But that was that's why I hit the all button. I think this race is wide open on my pick 6 ticket. I hit the all button, but don't have the 9 in my top 3. A little concerned about that drop. The 6, Naomi has the most experience here in this field for trainer Hammy Smith. Takes another drop down today, gets the blinkers on. She was the beaten favorite last out at Timonium against Maiden 25. Toledo stays aboard here, 5-2 morning line on the 6.
You have to respect this horse because she's well spotted against Maiden $16,000 company today. She was the beaten favorite last time out, but I love the fact that they put the blinkers on her because it just looked like she didn't have that killer instinct to pass Baltimore Miss just to her inside. She just kind of, her ears were going everywhere. She was paying attention to everything but the task at hand. So the blinkers on to make her a bit more competitive. And I'm using another horse, similar angle as your Ness horse, the 11 Grateful Heart. This horse was decently bet in her first start. Now, slight drop in class. Rodney Jenkins does great job with his maiden second-time starters. And also, she gets a better post. In her first start, she drew the rail, so now to the way outside, given more options.
Much better post. The horse was live on the tote board in debut. Top rider stays aboard, Victor Carrasco, one of the normal riders for this barn. So the barn, very good second-time starters, 24% with a positive ROI. So 10-1 for strong connections there. Just another reason why I'm hitting the all button here in race 6.
Okay, race 6 once again kicks off the late pick 5 as we turn our attention to the 7th first level allowance race, 5.5 furlongs there onto the main track once again. And Stan, we have a couple of scratches in here, but overall a very competitive field. The 11 all fired up, a horse who didn't have a good outing last time out, maybe back to rebound today.
Yeah, just draw a line through that last race. Hopefully that's what the barn and the owner did. But here's the race, a good third, 2 back.
Yeah, she was. We could see her in the gate. She was bumped a little bit out of position coming out of the gate. And then we can see her. She looks like a horse that probably wants to be a bit closer to the pace than what she was, unfortunately, under that bad break, getting kind of knocked from either side. And if we pick it up at the top of the stretch, this is a horse who actually made a really big middle move in this race and then just kind of flattened out the last part of it. But overall, I didn't think it was a bad race. And yes, a subpar performance, I thought a questionable performance, but he likes an off track. He's capable of running against allowance company. I think one worthy of another shot.
Yeah, I have him on top. This was a very tough allowance race. I had trouble that we just showed. American Progress, 12 stone, 2 hard knockers in there. You look at the races, the first 2 races. I heard about this horse at Pimlico. I heard the horse was very good. Broke from the rail that day, a good second in the slop, and then a strong maiden special weight win early July on an off track here, a good sealed track here. A good looking 3-year-old son of Frisian Fire, Forest Boyce aboard. Something happened there on Maryland Pride Day. They've gone back to the barn and regrouped. A nice maintenance work last Saturday here at Laurel Park on 5/8. So I have the 11 on top. I'm not giving up yet. I think this is a good looking 3-year-old.
Okay, the 4, Charlie Bravo, I'm going to take a shot with here. Last time out, obviously this horse was given a lot of time, but he showed, professionalism and a willingness to win off of that year layoff last time out. Now, I know that was on the turf, but he is a city zip out of an AP mare. This horse is bred to like an off track. He's bred to like to sprint. So I'm just hoping that he's going to like the transition to the main track today. And oftentimes we do see horses that like the turf, like a sealed surface. And he just looks like a horse that has the potential and a lot of talent. And I think you're going to get a good price on him.
Yeah, you have to love the breeding. And this horse, Rando, is breeding last time for the new barn off the layoff, 13-1. Got a strong 73 buyer in that turf win against Maiden Special Weight Company. McCarthy, leading rider, gets aboard today. I have this horse. I'm 5 deep here in race 7 on my pick 6 ticket, and I'm absolutely using the 4 Charlie Bravo. It's a real nice 6-1 price. I don't have him in my top 3, but I have him on my pick 6, and it's a nice race to kick off the late pick 4 as well. I'll throw the 1 Showalter into my exacta here. It's a Maryland bred by Peter Angelo's Marathon Farm, of course, named after the Orioles manager Buck Showalter. Orioles clobbering the ball to the New York Yankees last night. Looks like we're in for the wild card here for the playoffs.
Omen.
Hopefully, a good omen. coming. The Orioles magic's going for the baseball team, and Showalter will need a little Orioles magic breaking from the rail, but we know this horse likes an off track. He was a very tenacious game winner in debut in the mud. They ran him back in the Maryland Juvenile Fraternity. That was a tough race. Ravenheart, he just won here last weekend. Flash McCall was in there. They gave him a long break since then, coming off like a 10-month layoff here. The Dam was a stakes winner, and Showalter's a half-brother to Everyday Heroes, who made almost $250,000 and was 2 for 3 on an off track. So Toledo's going to need a little help breaking from the inside, but I like the one Showalter, 7-2.
Okay, what do you say we get to some stakes action?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's get to the Politely here. That does start in race 8. Again, this is the final pick 3 of the day. We're going 6 furlongs there on the main track, and you single on her, I single on her. That's a lot of weight for a poor, lovable lady to carry today, but she does seem to be very talented, and she's so consistent. I mean, you have to admire her consistency. The only subpar performance that she shows on paper was when she got a horrible trip down on the inside, but this is back on June 18th. This was at Pimlico when she did win, and that given a couple of months off, coming back and winning in the Jamila once again. But she's just tactical. She has enough positional speed. She just really does everything right, Stan.
This is an upper level 3 other than allowance race. It might be comparable to this Maryland bred stake here. She got a strong 79 buyer in that win. Came back after having July off and won the Jamila on the turf. It's right here in front of us. 7 for 7 in the money at Laurel Park with 3 wins. She's 6 for 6 on an off track with 1 win, and 6 for 6 in the money at this distance. So Mary Epler's done a very nice job, and I believe she trained the Dam here as well, and they've done a brilliant job with the campaign here of Lovable Lady.
I echo those sentiments too, and she's going to be well bet though. You're not going to get much of a price on her, and another horse that you probably won't get much of a price on is the one Candida H to the inside. And we'll go back to January. Let's backtrack. January 30th, a couple starts ago, when she did win the Conover here, beating Brenda's Way. She's an impressive horse. Can she work out a trip from the rail? That's one question. Another question is, they dabbled in stretching her out to a distance of ground. Where is she best? Is she best at 3/4? Is she best going a mile 7 furlongs? You know, a couple of questions with Candida H, but she is a filly that has some talent.
Yeah, absolutely, and I got very high on her here when she won the Conniver, and then she kind of came back and threw a subpar performance next out. They put her on the lead going 2 turns back in March here at Laurel, and that worked. Didn't like the turf last out. She has a tendency to lug in. I think maybe she's a little bit better going 7 furlongs or 2 turns. Centron's going to have to work out a trip from the rail here. I respect her. I mean, she's good enough for this race here. I'll use her 3rd.
Okay, the 6 Brenda's Way, talking about speed. Well, she has it, and a lot of the time we think, okay, well, maybe Brenda is a little bit better going longer than 3/4, but she is capable of winning. She's won 2 times at this 3/4 distance. Now, the main concern is the track. I don't think she likes an off track, and I was handicapping this race unsure of the track conditions, but we still have, we had a lot of rain over the course of the past week, so that is the main concern. But I do like the fact that she's well posted outside, and she has the main speed, and she's another one that's got some talent. But Stan, the big question mark is the 4 Lexington Street. You use her in the exacta. She broke her maiden in the slot, but it was a 51 by her speed figure. Was it her best race? Then she came back with a subpar performance off the layoff in the slop in mid-August.
I think that was a tough comeback race, and maybe it's just taken her 2. Now maybe it's her 3rd race back off the layoff. Maybe it's just taken her a little time to get back into top form. We know she's very good based on that 2-year-old form. She had a good second in the Maryland Juvenile Championship on an off track, and Gary Capuano, a patient trainer. He knows he has a good one here. Maybe he's just taking his time bringing her along. They put the Lasix on her last time. I thought she ran an improvement last time, a good 3rd, got a 70 by her. So this is the 3rd race back off the layoff. 2nd time layoff, finds a state bred race. I think the 4 Lexington Street, Barry Shop, getting back in top form today.
Okay, well, that is Maryland breds. Those are the fillies and mares in the Politely, a very, very contentious race as we get to the 9th. And this is an open race, a Chaladon going 7 furlongs on the main track. And this, to me, I know you single in this race, but this to me is a spread race. I think several horses could win. A very contentious field. We have horses coming out of Saratoga, the Mid-Atlantic. We'll start with, though, the favorite, the 5, All-Star Red, who is coming out of that Saratoga race. He faced Grade 1 Company recently in the Vanderbilt going against AP Indian and Holy Boss. He came out of that performance, and I actually thought he ran credibly. He was 23-1. He's probably not a Grade 1 type of horse. He ran okay against Grade 1 Company. He came back, and I liked him last time out. I'm not going to lie, Stan. I wanted him to win, and he did. He ran a good race. We can see him closing in between horses. I thought it was a very game effort, kind of bottled up between horses and then just closing late. It almost looked like he got up to win. This is the first time getting 7 furlongs, and it looks like he'll like it. I don't think I should have thrown him out completely. There's no way that I'm leaving him out of the late pick 5.
Yeah, I pick him second. I have him. I key the 9, my top pick here on the in my pick 6 ticket. But yeah, that was a winning effort. He just ran there. Yeah, it was a beaten favorite, but runs a winning effort. Gets beat a whisker. The race 2 back. The Vanderbilt only gets beat 4 1/4 lengths in a Grade 1. He's absolutely the horse to beat. Been running solid upper 90 buyers. We get Carrasco off that 2-win day yesterday. Brave move throwing him out here. He's shipping down to Laurel. He's only 1 for 3 on an off track. First time we've seen him down here at Laurel. I try to beat him too. I use him second.
Okay, and the 9, Chief I Stand, a horse that you try to beat him with. Talented horse, but has to prove that he can stretch that speed to 7/8 instead of just 3/4.
I think he's going to love the 7 furlongs, the 7 furlongs, and I think is a great front runner's distance. I think he's going to have that controlling speed on the outside. We know he loves an off track. He showed that coming off a long layoff and a tough allowance race, a tough 2 other than allowance race on Preakness Day. Got a strong 89 buyer that day, breaking from the rail. 91 buyer most recently, winning an upper level allowance race late August up there, Delaware. The barn is red hot. Larry Jones and Gabe Saez, Sagamore Farm brought into this horse. I think we know he loves an off track. I think he'll love the 7 furlongs today.
And I think his performance in the Hockenson was a little discouraging with his hopes of getting out of distance, because it looks like he was fading. But he maybe looks like a horse that wants to be on the lead, and he can carry that speed to go the 7 furlongs. I mean, he's bred to like this middle distance. His sire himself, he was, I think his best number was going the 1-turn mile in the ACAC at Churchill. So I'm on the fence with him, but I respect your opinion enough to use him in the late pick 5. I landed on the 7, My Loot, and this is a horse who's got some class, some back class. Obviously, 3rd in the Preakness behind Oxbow, and since then, he's gone in between and not really running his best races. But I do think the cut back here from going a mile and a 16th in the Seattle Slough is going to be preferred. Looking on his past performances, you see a 103 buyer speed figure. That buyer speed figure came going a 1-turn mile in an allowance at Belmont. So I think he might be sneaky good at this distance.
Good to see the 6-year-old still going strong. He's just shy of $1 million in earnings. My guess is they're trying to get him up to $1 million, and they'll retire him, make him a stallion. 0 for 3 on an off track, 0 for 2 at the 7 furlong distance. So I guess that's what steered me away from him. But top barn here, Ralph Nixon. He gets the leading rider, Trevor McCarthy, on an old class horse looking for $1 million in earnings. That 0 for 3 on an off track, that does come against mostly graded stakes caliber, so well spotted here perhaps in the Chaladon.
All right, quickly, wanted to mention Connemara Coast, a horse that you and I both respect. We're going to backtrack to his most recent effort, and this was coming off a sizable layoff from December to July, and I don't know where this performance came from, but it was extremely impressive. So impressive that I'm going to give him a little bit of a shot at 7/8. I think he's very good at 7 furlongs and the 1-turn mile, and big performance last time out, and it didn't seem to be a fluke. Old Upstart came back to get a 90 buyer speed figure at Saratoga. Noteworthy Peach, 1 of 3 other than allowance out of there. An interesting outside player here.
Well, top barn here, trainer Timmy Keefe. I don't think it was a fluke that he got a 92 buyer in that July win. Same 92 buyer that he got 365 days ago this weekend last year, October 2nd, in a tough allowance race going a mile in the slop. He whistled that day, beating some tough horses. So he's a nice local horse. He likes an off track. This is his home track. He runs well fresh. Angel Cruz for a good barn. I think a nice live 12-1 shot there.
All right, let's get to the final race. A really, really excellent card here. We get to the final race, a maiden claimer going the 1-turn mile. Quick thoughts on this last race, Dan. Who did you land on?
Missed on the Moskva. This horse's name, they changed his name. His name used to be something else. Related to Stanton. I heard the horse was working well in the mornings, and they changed his name, but now he's the first-time gelding today. So first-time gelding alert for a hot barn. Best angle. The barn's going well. Mary Epler, Horacio Caramano's a soft spot here. Ran a decent fourth last out, coming off a little freshening in the turf, so maybe the turf woke him up a little bit. See if he likes an off track today.
Okay, Cold Spice was gelded back in July. He put in a good performance on a sloppy steel track, sprinting 5.5 furlongs. Go back and watch that replay. He was running. He just had no room to run down on the inside. So I think the added distance will make him a bit forwardly placed. I land on Cold Spice, but do take note the 11th Catastrophe, a horse that has a big shot, does draw in off the also eligible in the final race of today. I think we did that very well. We had a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on across the country. But thank you once again for joining us here on Today at the Races. We have that carryover, over $9,700 in the Pick Six. Go online, find Stan's ticket. Plenty of betting opportunities this afternoon. Thank you once again. Best of luck on today's card.